Hello, I'm Telkiney, and you're watching the Nerd Navigator.
Hello, I'm Telkiney, the Nerd Navigator. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I'm going to venture into the lands of Norath in Everquest, and I want to really discover what this this symbol is. Way over in the other corner there. What is that? I've seen it my entire EverQuest career, mainly in classic zones, and today I just really want to figure it out. I'll probably be reiterating this a lot as people come into the chat, but that's what our journey is going to be. However, to start off the journey, I'm going to start on a little high, and I'm on the test server, and I'm going to try to take out Lord Nagafin. Well, see, the thing about EverQuest 2 is interesting because it actually kind of bastardizes the lore. We'll get into that a little bit looking at this particular symbol. Because if you're familiar with EverQuest 2 lore, you automatically know that this symbol is the Shazara calendar, correct? If you followed a number of quests within EverQuest 2. However, we're going to look into that too. I think I'm planning on doing that a little later after we dive into a little bit just of what EverQuest offers in that. But I think that there kind of was a cut in the lore in what they kind of were going with. The two teams, development teams, kind of stopped really communicating with each other. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that that is what you're saying isn't true in EverQuest One lore either. I'm not debating that. Like you said, it could be like you said they're aligned, and I think that's because I think they worship Nagafin in a way. But hey, yeah, they could be his like henchmen in the scheme of things, right? Like, or he could be taking advantage of that. But from what I remember reading, they really do like somewhat idolize him. But just getting back into the Lord Nagafin, Lady Vox lore, it was found that, or prophesized that if any two dragons of different colors were to breed, they would create a word for it, especially like a P. Anyway, the multicolored dragon, which is what Kelefin is, the sleeper. Man, why can't you know when you have a word on the tip of your tongue? Anyway, so we're just gonna. So this symbol is kind of semi-important, just because it appears somewhere in neck, which is interesting because there's only like one place I think I found this symbol occurs in. So that's, I believe, just a symbol of a dragon. Now, the question is this a symbol of Vishen, or is it a symbol of Lord Nagafin? And it's possible it's just a symbol of Lord Nagafin. There's symbols of dragons on the king's throne we just saw back there. Prismatic, thank you, Carp. That's exactly the word I was looking for. All right, Lord Nagy. So the trick with being a high level is you just have to kill Lord Nagy before he banishes you, which I bet at this particular level range nowadays it's not really difficult. So unfortunately we don't get to see Lord Nagafin in all his glory before we take him out, because he'll banish you real quick. That's good old Lord Nagy. I haven't been able to really kill him for quite a while. Back when the Hardcore Heritage Lord Nagafin's Lair first came out, and it was still viable content. But we want to remember that symbol. All right. So what I'm going to start off with is going to neck, because Dark Elves by far have this symbol occurring for them. Now, there's a lot of speculation that the middle symbol, while in EverQuest 2 lore, as you're probably familiar, Carp, in EverQuest 2 lore, that is significant to Vishen. It's believed that that's a picture in the middle of a dragon, and it's Vishen. Since the Shazara calendar is believed to be a calendar depicting the end of days events that will lead up to Vishen destroying the world. Or that's at least how I understand the Shazara calendar. Or at least not even the world's end, but at least the Shazara's world. The Shazara were kind of like the first empire, I believe, and they predicted their own demise. But this is all EverQuest 2 lore, not specific to EverQuest 1, at least in what the game tells you, right? So that's really important to note because, like I said, there's some sort of a divergence sometimes with EverQuest lore versus EverQuest 2 lore. So the first symbol, the main symbol that we see in our symbol over here, right, is depicted on a lot of Dark Elf, just areas, habitation, and so forth. So there's a large speculation that the symbol just means Neriak. They're the god that they worship. Neriak created the Dark Elves. Technically, he took High Elves and twisted them over. He took the High Elf king and queen and twisted them over centuries until they became Dark Elves. And so, in essence, he created the race. Even though technically they're still somewhat High Elf in a sense. But you see this depiction all over everywhere. Although, to me, I've never really seen this as Neriak. Like, it looks like a bunny. I do see more in the EverQuest 2 lore where it's supposed to be a dragon. Shazara. Or, not Shazara. Vishen. Alright, so, yeah, so this does not look like Neriak. He doesn't have big ears. It just never fit for me. When you talk about a dragon, this does look a little similar to a statue actually that they have in the city, which I'll talk about in a second. But believe the guild hall is around here. Yeah, this is the area. So this is where we have the first bat symbol that I'm aware of. And this one's really neat because it's all bright and shiny. And it allows you, because of this balcony, to distinctly look at it. So this is where I actually got this screenshot. It looks like a knoll. That's funny. So this is where I got the screenshot, and then I just cut out the stuff and made it black. But yeah, it's interesting because there are some things that I'm very familiar with it being symbols for, particularly this 3-point symbol right here. I'm very, very, very confident that that's the symbol for Brel, who created like gnomes. He created gnomes, dwarves, gnolls. A lot of basically the subterranean races were created by Brel at different times. Brel was a little sneaky guy. There's a god of mischief who I'm forgetting his name, but Brel he was a little sneaky too, and because he made several deals over the years with different gods as they came to Norath. And because he kept wanting to make new races, so he'd make a deal with the gods, they'd create their own races, and he would get to then essentially have the authority to create another one. So anyway, but this is our main focus, is this symbol here. Like, what does this all mean? What is this? It kind of looks like a just bone cross kind of thing. This is a whirly-do. This is very prominent in erudite society. So it's my speculation, just going into it. Carp, that's essentially correct. I believe Vishen was the first, and clawed the lore goes that Vishen came, clawed the surface to essentially stake claim on Norath, and then planted his brood or her brood, whatever sex is. Brel was the second, technically the first like humanoid god, not a dragon, to enter, and then he made a pact with Tunair and Prexless to watch over Vishen, and that is that part of the lore. I don't know if that specifically comes from EverQuest 2 because it has a lot to do with their Shazar cycle lore. Let's see, EverQuest is a game. This though is definitely the Braille symbol. This appears on a lot of darker stuff, including everywhere in Dark Elf. So it's definitely a symbol of evil. But the question is, in EverQuest 1, what it really means. Now this is interesting. Check out that profile right there. Now that looks a lot similar to the door on Nagfin's lair, which is interesting. It's gold, it's got the same points and so forth. No bat symbol, and oh, there we go. So on the fire pit here, we have that bat symbol again. I keep saying bat symbol. That's what we're gonna call that middle symbol in the design. So we got a lot of this tail symbol here. What does this mean? You know, it's always interesting where they came up with the concepts, and if they do in fact fit into lore, or are they just cool designs? Now, see, this is what interests me too. So this is Neriak, right? So if the symbol in the corner of my screen here, in the middle, if that's Neriak, then why do they have a different symbol for Neriak? I mean, this is just plainly Neriak. Like, that's his face, right? I don't know what these little symbols around him mean, but that's super Neriak. And then check this out. Now we have a symbol exactly like the corner symbol up here, right? On this pot. Now, this symbol occurs throughout what's the forehead guy's name? In Eridan. Erudites. The Erudites. This appears all over their city, yet it's appearing on the pots for this particular area, which is the Cleric. Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. So the Iridans and Clerics in particular actually worship Kunair, the god of tranquility, or goddess, I should say. So this is most likely what we can say is, if these are in fact symbols of gods, that this symbol here is a sign of Quintilius. Let's find out the exact here. EverQuest. So it's this one that I'm talking about. Quilios. I'm just going to go with Quilios. And anyway, that's the god of tranquility. The Iridans, in particular, worship them. But so that's where your Iridites. That's where you're getting that. But also clerics. So that's why she's showing up in the Cleric Guild. So that's interesting. So despite worshiping Neriak, which they're still like, hey, dude, Neriak's still cool with us. They created us because we're dark elves, but we're still worshiping in part the goddess of tranquility because we're clerics. We heal people. More Neriak symbols. So and that's what. So there's a bona fide. connection to Quilius, which I'll show you when we go to Iridan too. But this is definitely Neriak. So then, what's that middle symbol? Is that why is there two symbols for Neriak? That's what often gets me. All right, we're done with this part. So here we have the row. Okay, now see, this is interesting here. I'm gonna kill that. So if anyone was starting from the beginning, we had Lord Nagafin's lair has this kind of six-pointed symbol that looks like a dragon's head, right? From this, you can kind of see where this symbol could look like a dragon in the middle. I'm trying to point to it with my mouse, but obviously it's over it. So when you have the wings up like that, it can sort of look like a dragon. If you're looking at the shape. So that is interesting that particularly in the Rogues Guild that this shows up. I don't know what significance a dragon has with rogues, but there it is, and it's very similar to the symbol found for Lord Nagafin's lair. Now I think there is one over. There's an area. Here we go. I remember. Now we do have it here. I don't know the significance of this building at all. See if we can make a blood sacrifice. Okay, nope, nothing. Didn't happen. Alright. Hey, it was worth a shot right now. But so we have the symbol here for the first time since seeing it in the comments. So in the third gate, one place, not in the necro area, but just in some random building, there's that circle. We have the dragon again, depicted here. And then there's one place I'm pretty sure that dragon exists. So this symbol right here is the same symbol found on the door to Lord Nagafin. And it just appears once in this entire city, right here on this pot. Why? Why does it do that? What is the significance there? And then this, I've always suspected that this is John Smady. I haven't seen any reference to that, but it kind of looks like him a little bit. He's the president, or was the president of Sony Online Entertainment, and I kind of feel like that is his face a little bit. I don't know though. Kind of has his nose. I'm just heading over to Nagia because I believe that symbol appears in Nagia too. Now that just reinforces maybe some Dark Elf stuff, because obviously Nagia is part of, Dark Elf Necro kind of lore. So you see this bat symbol appears on this big old door that's off its hinges. Obviously, at some point, this was a real city. Christopher Davies. The name's familiar to me. I had a friend once that had that name. But then he stopped playing video games. I hadn't heard from him. So at the moment, what we're looking at is the bottom right-hand corner symbol, which we did find in the Dark Elf Cleric Guild. But you will also find on doors and such here in it's the same symbol there, obviously. That's interesting. So the belief is at this point is that that's the symbol for Quilios, who the Iridans worship and clerics worship, even though the clerics in the Dark Elf City also would worship Inaruk, being that Inaruk created their race, but they still divine their powers as clerics from the goddess of tranquility, being Helios. So that's really all we need to look at here. There we go. Be an elevator here. If you notice on the elevator, we have that symbol that appears predominantly in the middle of. Somebody's hitting me. Oh, hey. Anyone need a robe? Robe of the Keeper? Heard it's pretty popular. So there's that symbol again. Does it mean just dark elves? Does it mean Neriak? Does it mean just the city of Necros? But there we have that symbol. Just like we have in our corner here. So this shows up with a bunch of dark elves and vampires. Vampire, the lady people. This symbol in the middle, looks like a bat, right? I call it the bat symbol anytime we run into it. That symbol in EverQuest 2 lore is supposed to be Vishen, the dragon. It's supposed to be a symbol for the dragon Vishen, the creator of dragons, so to speak, the elder god, right? So that's interesting in that lore. However, if you take that into account in EverQuest 1, my question would be, why is Vishen instead of Neriak or anyone else all over the Dark Elf city? Why is that symbol it shows up in more Dark Elf Neriak type lore? However, in EverQuest 1, it's presumed that it's more of an Neriak symbol because of that. And then for Nate and Tiffany. Nate and Tiffany was a really common name for dark elves back then, as you can see. They just like that was pretty much Nate or Tiffany. That's all they would name people back in olden days. Like seriously, like they couldn't come up with 4 other names. EverQuest, Tony, Arian, what's going on? All right, we can get out of here. There is a few other places this symbol appears in. The first one is Oasis at Spectre Isle. And then what I'd like to do also is check out the Plane of Hate itself. If it indeed is a symbol for Neriak, wouldn't it appear with Neriak? So, as you can see in the back here, approaching that symbol, it appears all over this little monument. Appears on the side of the buildings. Then when you go up here, it's got this like magic floating essence thing because of station. Turn that off. Right up. So it has this symbol here, which is interesting. Whoa. All right. Oh boy. All right. So it has a tiny symbol there, goes up to a big symbol in this spire-like configuration. It used to be believed that there was some sort of trick or portal to the Plane of Hate from the spire, and that's the significance of why it's even here. But there isn't. There never really was. It was just like room. However, on the test server, the agents of in kind of I think humor when they added these agents of change, they put the agents of change here on Spec Island. So we're gonna Hailest gentleman. I think I need to drop my iconography here. Alright, so here we are in the plane of hate. So my contention is that if the middle symbol here in this thing is the symbol for Neriak, like that's his symbol or somehow associated with him, it should, you would think, of all places, end up in here a whole bunch, right? But I'm not seeing that happen. You know, in neck it appears on doors, appears in that circle of symbols. Now I want to believe that it's probably Neriak, or that's the intent that the dev that created it had. But there's just not a lot pointing to what exactly it's supposed to be. So you do notice though that this symbol, we just saw this symbol in Castle Mistmore. So we do have a repeat of a symbol, but it's not this anything to do with the one in our corner here that we're trying to research. It's actually a Mistmore symbol. That this also shows up in Mistmore on their walls. Interesting. You know what? I just figured out my mic's like way over here. I bet that's better. Is this better, chat? And there's Neriak, man. So the symbols, the red symbols in like the Cleric's Guild in neck, that's his face. I mean, that's the side profile of his face, if we can see that. So that's why I'm like, if that is Neriak, then what's this guy? Then, you know, where's his symbol here? Answer is nowhere. It's not here. So we don't have that middle symbol right here, right? Anywhere in the plane of hate, Neriak's home domain. So it's hard for me to conclude that that symbol specifically is for that god. So is it just a symbol for dark elves? But then why are there other god symbols on this thing? It's got the Brellis symbols in the middle there at the top. It's very odd. Michael, sorry. Michael says, what symbol are you looking for? So Michael, we are the symbol here in the corner of my screen. Over there, right? Way in the left corner. We're trying to deduce its significance in EverQuest 1 lore, and how we can prove that in game. There is significant lore surrounding that in EverQuest 2. Like literally drawn out quests that actually say. So in EverQuest 2, it's just that symbol is the Shazara calendar, right? If you're familiar with EverQuest 2 lore, there's significant precedence for that. However, we'll get into why that can't be the case. I don't believe for EverQuest 1 lore. So I think EverQuest 2, they have their own thing going. It's not true to the original game, and that's cool. I think the devs made their own stuff up at that point, because the Shazar calendar was created at like almost the beginning of the Shazar Empire. Like it's significantly old, right? And so we'll go in to prove how, if that was the case, that symbol should appear for Shazaras in EverQuest 1 pre-shattering, right? We can go to Lucklin in EverQuest 1, where the Shazara currently are, and that symbol should be everywhere because that's their calendar. Or not even everywhere, but maybe the Shazara, that stone should be there, but we'll find that it's not. In fact, this symbol is found for Dark Elves and Necromancy and so forth. So why are Dark Elves and Necromancy having that symbol, but the Shazara, whom that calendar is made for, don't? So we're just looking at what the symbols mean in EverQuest. So what we're looking at right now, why we're in Soul Sai is that we're looking at the symbol at the very top of the bunny, and we see it here on this door, which I haven't gotten into yet. So goblins were created by Brellis, so they tend to worship him, along with like gnolls and dwarves and so this is definitely a symbol for Brellis. he's significant in having um, candles above his head. So if we look at Brelos, yeah, that's the guy. This is one of the more predominant pictures of him. Is with 3 candles and a pickaxe, and then he's got like a pointed nose usually, and I tend to think that that's what, I don't know if that's what this triangle represents, but the 3 candles are definitely a depiction of him. What's interesting in this zone in particular is that many of the symbols that you actually find in the summoning circle, right up here, they're actually on this door, on these door frames. You got the symbol for Relis. You got the symbol for, I believe Tunair is the dots. I think it's supposed to represent a forest. You have the swirly do that you find it up in this corner up here, right? You have the X. So it's really interesting why the gnolls have it on their door, where we find these same symbols in a pattern of some sort of like summoning circle or something like that. That's definitely a place of worship. Yeah, it's probably. I mean, M circle is probably from Mage circle, something like that, right? Like, um, but what's funny is there's necro guilds that it appears in. Um, Maybe it's just magic circle, something like that. What I really think is, truly and surely, is that the devs just don't. They just made the circle up, and then they started putting lore about it into the game. Like they made that, and then they started um, putting different stuff up. I do think that they had some idea, like the Brelis symbol here. They have an idea for Quails, but why did these all come together for this one big circle, right? In EverQuest 2, like I said, they kind of bastardized it, I think. Or they made up their own lore about it. But as you see here, because the real interesting one is the middle one for me. That one, it's hard to put a finger on exactly what it's supposed to be. Is it supposed to be just mean dark elf? Is it supposed to mean his name in Inaruk? It's interesting because, okay, so here's a neat example of why maybe it's still an Inaruk symbol. First Fist of Light fan fiction. I haven't read that fan fiction. I haven't read a lot of fan fiction. I tend to try to read like the guidebook and the first lore book that came with the game and so forth. So here's another depiction of Brel, but this one's much more detailed. So you have the picks, because Brel's the miner, he's subterranean, and you have the candles, right? So what's interesting is there's a room close to here that has symbols for 3 different gods, right? You have Brel's, you have Inaruk, which this Inaruk depiction shows up not only here but in Neriak itself. Man, there's a lot of prophecies though, isn't there? Like, because the Shazara calendar is a prophecy in itself. It's a prophecy of Caliphan like destroying the world or something, I think. It's called like the prophecy of Day's End or something like that. I forget. But yeah, I like prophecies, like and trying to figure out like what each event is supposed to mean, because usually a prophecy has significant events. Like say you take even not even EverQuest, but the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time goes the whole book is a span of prophecies being fulfilled, but you hear this riddle and you're supposed to figure out what the events mean, and so does the characters while they're anyway. That's why I like prophecies. But so we can agree at least that these are 3 gods, right? This is Inaruk for sure. I mean that's his face. This must be Brel with the candles and the mining pick. However, I don't know what this ram horn like guy is. Like,
Is it supposed to be Ralsek? Is this I don't know a god with curly horns like a ram. So that symbol on the side here, that's just old Anaruk. So this is Karana, right? And this symbol at the top here, at the very top left corner, my mouse doesn't go over the image, but you see that crossbone kind of looking symbol? I sometimes I think that that might be Karana's symbol, not like some skull and crossbone or something, because his staff has this like weather chime crosshair thing that might be significant to him. Anyway, so my question here, right, is that this is Inaruk. This is a symbol for Inaruk. Now, one could argue that since this is a symbol for Brelos and this is a symbol for Brelos, there's not just one symbol for Brelos. Even though this is the only symbol of Brelos I know of like this in only this zone. Now, he may appear somewhere due to my ignorance, but for me, this is the only place I know it to exist is in this zone. Whereas this does appear in other places, not in the top middle corner there of the symbol we're looking at researching right now. Um, it shows up there as well. So that's interesting to me that there can be two different symbols depicting the same god. So that sets a precedence that there's not just always one symbol for that one god. Like there can be multiple. Because I was trying to make the argument earlier that since this is Inaruk, that this other symbol, this bat symbol, that you find in the middle of that pattern, can't be Inaruk because this is Inaruk symbol. But with this Brelis thing, it kind of shows that it could be there. It's possible for there to be two different symbols for one god, which is confusing, and I don't like that because I like things black and white. But what can you do, right? Let me see if I can find it. There's a timeline. Somebody made a Google Doc timeline of Everquest, and I've always taken it to assume that whoever made it did their research because it's so thorough. I don't know why. Last off screen. I think I have saved. Let's see. Ah, here we go. Found it. All right. So this is a really cool timeline. Oh, you made this? That's cool, man. Like, because I've used it to reference a lot of stuff. Um, so well, good on you, man, because it's very interesting. Um, that's where I was getting like Tunary Praxis. They met with Brett, and that's when they made the first pact. Blah blah. Like, and that's when Brel created the dwarves. So I was thinking it was a site. But see that where your thing says during a the age of scale begins. It said Braille seeds the belly of North with creatures. I assume those creatures are not the dwarves and not the gnomes, which he did later on. That those creatures are the gnolls. That's where I was coming up with that, at least in my head. Because I think the he created the gnomes after that. Well, what happened? Google Docs. What happened? Oh, I see. I see what you're doing. You made a new thing. Um, so I'm basing this off of your own research, your research here, but that the gnomes were created after the fact, or and that's why I was thinking these creatures that you're talking about here are are the no the. I believed you, man. I didn't. Uh, I wasn't. I wasn't discounting you. Not at all. This is a tremendous work. I think I assume it took you a lot of time, but I just wanted to let you know that people still look at this because I do. Um, so you're pretty lore buffed. There's a scroll in neck here um, that I can't read. I was wondering if you may have heard know its significance or anything. There in the library, there's a little pedestal with that bat symbol that we have in the middle of our symbol we're researching, and in it or on top of the pedestal is this glass case with a scroll, indicating that this particular scroll in their library has some significance, and there's symbols on it, but it's really hard to decipher because of how downgraded um the quality of the images. Okay, I'll take it at. So, chat, what we're talking about, I'm just going to go to it because I think the library's around here. Yeah. Is I was asking about this symbol. So it has the same bat symbol, right? That we have in the middle of our symbol here. And the scroll is of some significance. However, this dude won't talk to me because I'm not a dark elf, so I've never talked with him. I've lived the world through the eyes of the Ixar, so I just never was able to read this. But Michael says that this is it. What? On third gate, the beliefs being actual crisp, rather some lore around the original release. So this guy's like, Neriak's place of hand vessel. Perfection level, the dead too low. You'll see. When you learn to surf the dead, and then he talks about the scroll long ago by a great necro Kuhan. With it, he can commune directly with inner. Wow. Unfortunately, one portion of the scroll was taken from us by a rogue who was hired by the fly. Or now attempts to reclaim it. Interesting. 20 expansions later, you can now do something about this missing scroll in the Call of the Forsaken quest. The missing scroll. That's interesting to me. Nova, hello. Thanks for joining us. And Elminda? Almeida. I'm going to call you Al, if you're okay with that. Because I think I'm mispronouncing your name. Thanks. I really do love EverQuest. As gentleman Michael and all of us, I would, yeah, man, come play. If you even are wanting to start over, the Agnar server just came out. You know, that might be a good place for you. If not, you know, current content. So Michael, are you familiar with like current EverQuest like content too? Was that Call of the Forsaken thing a connection? Did you know about? I didn't. Um, it kind of makes me want to go to Call of Forsaken and take a look around on that. That's a different tangent for a different stream for sure. The old quest log, I'm gonna type in Q. Oh yeah, funny Nova, you got me good. I wasn't even thinking. Thanks, bud. All right, stream just gonna be monitor capture is gonna be off for just a second here. So great job, Nova. Everybody give him a round of applause. Stream's just down for a second, guys, as I put in my info and relog in here. As soon as it loads, I can put the monitor back on. All right. All right, have a good one, Michael. Take it easy. Good chatting with you. Radamos the Ranger. The Ranger Radamos. Yep. Yep, still in timeout error. Yep, still in KOI. Although I'm on the test server just as a test copy here. But yeah. Um but no, I remember your name. In fact, if you hadn't said you were a ranger up here, I would have said you were a ranger. I remember that. Because I want to believe that you were in KEI for a time too, because I recognize the name Radmos. But maybe that's just from General or something. But I want to say you were in KEI for a second. KOI. KOI. The lore timeline stops around the launch of EverQuest 1 in terms of EverQuest 1 lore. So I'm not, Michael can probably, if he was here, he's probably rolling his grave if he comes back to the stream. I think his timeline stops and it doesn't have current expansion lore in it, but maybe it does. Maybe that's how he got a lot of the information. Anyway, so long story short, chat, there's only one further piece of evidence that I can point to that does sort of definitively point to this middle symbol, the middle symbol that we see predominantly throughout the Dark Elf city, throughout any kind of summoning circle type badness is that is a symbol for Inruk is because it appeared on one item ever. One item that symbol did appear on. And if I may, I'll have to search for it. Nope, it's not. Let's just do this. Because there's one symbol in the game of EverQuest, one item in which it appeared on, and it's this one. It's Fireworks Focus of Inruk. And it has this bat symbol on it. That the very same one that we see in the middle of our symbol that we're trying to research. So this is the one piece of lore, the one thing that really specifically points out that bat symbol in EverQuest 1 at least is Inruk, despite in EverQuest 2 that symbol has been changed, and this is why EverQuest 2 lore is kind of like you can't really take that into account when you're talking about EverQuest 1 lore, is because in EverQuest 2 that symbol is Vishen. They consider it to be Vishen within the Shizara calendar, not Inruk, but this points to it being Inruk. So it's a very interesting difference. The Common Lands orcs use that symbol for their flags, so to speak. You can see it here. It's this symbol backwards, right? Those are just way too similar to be not the same symbol, just rotated. And since orcs were created by Ralzek, therefore it's Ralzek, right? But okay. Deadly Cupcakes caught it. The symbol is there. So there is still a connection to Ralzek. Good job, Deadly Cupcakes. I did, seeing as this is the same color as the stone, I did not catch that. So the symbol's right there. So orcs it still is connected to orcs regardless of clan, it looks like. So we still have a good connection around Zek for this symbol then. Deadly Cupcakes with the save. Yeah, who knows? Maybe the Death Fists are just dyslexic, and so they write their Ralzek symbols backwards. Oh, here we go. So we do have a banner in here. I wonder if the other side is the right way. Yeah. So yeah. How much do you want to bet that a dev just put this on wrong? Like they literally inversed the pattern than what it should have been, because it like they put the front, because this is the right way, right? You think that that's possible, that they just like they weren't on the same page? Like some intern was like, hey, I'm just gonna paste this on here, and then no one caught it. Like who comes at this level, right, to hail? Let's talk about itemization here for a second in some of those older zones. Who's supposed to use this? Like 622? This is something like a level like 20 should be using, right? Like that they got out of Runny Eye or something. Not a level 50 plus, level 60 that's rating Kale. I just don't understand the itemization sometimes for like these old world stuff. Like this is a terrible ratio. Like I don't know, man. Huh. As a little guy. I remember there being big old wolf dogs. Agent of Change. Well, why don't we? Yeah, I played it when it was current. 622. I had a whip that was like better stats at level 10 before Valius even came out. Like, and there's a claw that I had. Even the lock. What was it? It was a little sword, like it was like the something wolf. So long ago. Anyway, this are you kidding? This is like disgustingly low. Anyway, Agent of Change. Oh man, I left my old group. I'm not gonna be able. I was gonna do the Avatar of War event just to see if he had anything on him. I can guess do an image. War. That axe could never have been hot, man. You can look. This is like it's equivalent to stuff that you can get out of Runny Eye. Like I swear. Um, like original world zone, right? Your warrior, whatever, and you're looking for some weapons. You're level 50. Original content. Let's get a one-hander. Let's they're showing all two-handers here. Did I not have warrior? Redo it. Warrior slot. Any one-hander level 50. Original zone. Thank you, Deer King. Exactly. A yak was a level 25 item that came out of. We're talking about Kale's rat. You're not going to be in Kale, right? Unless you're level 55 or something with a group killing those things for faction because you're a raider. The only reason you're up there. So if they're dropping that, even as group loot, which Gook is group loot, it's not raid loot, right? So in classic EverQuest, 2 expansions before, or Kale or Kunark and then Velius, in classic EverQuest, in a group zone level 45 or so, you can get a short sword of Yukfinian, and it's like way better than an 622. Like you can get 620. So this is two delay better. You can get Bowl Smasher from where I've never even seen Bowl Smasher, but I'm eager to find out what low level content this comes from that isn't a raid zone called Kale Draggle. Right, you get yaks at 45. Yeah, that's one. Couldn't get yaks until 40s, right? But you're not going to kill Drackle until your 40s either, right? Are you going to kill Drackle when you're 30, 20? No, you're going there when you're 55, 60. Anyway, okay, it was part of a quest. Cool. What was the quest? Get Bull Smasher, Tiny Patchwork. Quest starts in Antioch. And you have to kill. You've slain Red V and an obsolete model. Level 2, level 3. This couldn't have been higher than level 30, if that. So this quest you could do to get this one-hand smash thing, right? That's 620 at level something 5 or whatever. And that where'd that thing go? I zoned. But anyway, it was 622. That's all I'm saying is the itemization, it has low-level gear dropping from a level 55 zone. Kill Drackle is a raid zone. Like, let's be real here. You went there to hit raid content. Or to grind out rep for that raid content. You would grind out the gems, right? That you needed to turn in for the raid armor. I'm just saying 622 is a little low. Almost a Sky Shrine, guys. We're gonna look up references to Vishen, see if there's anything about Ralsek being defeated or anything like that. But I'm guessing it's gonna be more Vishen related imagery, so to speak. Also, thus proving that this symbol here, the symbol in the middle, can't possibly be a reference to Vishen in this early form of Everquest. Since we'll see that the common symbol for Vishen is going to be a half crescent dragon with a circle near it. Although they like, you check this out, right? And you can kind of see, like, you know, there's wings, face. Wings are a little, can protrude a little bit above the face. But this is the real symbol of Vishen right here. That's the world and Vishen spinning around it. And that's going to be the theme that we're going to find in this zone. So anyway, so we're in Shazara land, as you can see by all the Shazara here. So at some point during the Iridan Shazar type stuff, the Shazar left Norath and came to the moon, right? And that's where we find them today, in the moon. Although they apparently have some plane called Chelsius Reborn, but that's for Reign of Fear expansion type, not classic Everquest, which we are trying to figure out why the symbol appears in classic Everquest. So we're here in Shazara land, looking for the Shazara calendar, any kind of clues that point to this in-game in Everquest 1 really being from Shazara lore, which I am debating or maintaining that it's not, and the Shazara stuff only comes into fruition with Everquest 2, and it's the devs that kind of like change the story, if you will, but not what it was originally intended to be in classic Everquest. So in Everquest 1, the calendar shows up in Dark Elf areas, in Necromancer areas. It's typically looks like some sort of summoning circle, if you will. Whereas in Everquest 2 lore, the Shazara calendar, this symbol, is specific to a number of quests that call it the Shazara calendar. They call it the end of days prophecy and so forth. So the mention of a calendar, the Shazara calendar, does not come up until you start talking about Everquest 2. But I'm just going forth to prove that lore has no connection actually to original Everquest lore. It's something that I think that the Everquest 2 devs made up in using some old assets from Everquest 1, but Everquest 1 never had support for it. In fact, I think there was a different intent for it when it was created. In the scheme of what else is in the world at the same time. And that's a Shazara eating an Iskar. The only way a Shazara could eat an Iskar is if they were on their knees, like bound or something. And so a Shazara could take advantage of that. However, if an Iskar, like myself, was not tied up, that Shazara would never stand a chance. And that's because Iskar are the best race in the game. So Shazar, like they have a lot of pictures of Ixar, right? They depict that, but there's no similar like images. This is like the closest thing you can get this one to, this little table looking thing, is if you flip it upside down, it looks like the Braille symbol, right? That's about it. Otherwise, none of this stuff really makes it there's no Shazara calendar in here. There's no, if you look at the doors, you know, they have kind of rune gibberish. It's the same kind of runes that are around the poles and stuff. But I could keep going through more and more. But I took a look at this whole zone too pretty extensively in some of my videos, and yeah, it's just there's nothing there. No Shazara calendar. If you just take my word for it. All right, so. Oh my gosh, show Karana. I guess there's probably. Oh yeah, so here's Karana. I want to show you live, like, because you can the little hooks. It isn't apparent in this picture, but Karana has this staff. This is the staff of Karana. You know what I mean? And in it, it's a cross, and it has these wave little hooks, right? That you could almost see as being misrepresented as the end of a bone because they're roundish. He's the only god that I know of that has anything to do with like an X pattern and some sort of rounded ends. And that's why I think that Karana may be that symbol. He's really a tier 1 god, and that's his staff. I mean, there's not really a lot of other pictures of him. I mean, I think that's the only time he ever appears in the game. There's not. His symbol is usually a rain cloud because that's what he is. I mean, he's the god of rain. Oh, whoa. He's the god of rain and whatnot. Does this look like? Oh, he's got a thunderbolt trident. Okay. So there's not a lot proving that symbol is Piranha, except for because the rest of his symbols are just this thunderbolt. I don't even think you can see that, but it's a storm cloud with a thunderbolt there. Oh, I see what you're saying. The symbol here. This is taken from Everquest 2, but it is at least another representation of some sort of cross symbol that's diagonal slanted, right? there's not a lot of that kind of depiction. So what's left is the swirly the swirly symbol, the 9 dots, and the lines. And for the life of me, I haven't seen any of those in the game. Like, I don't know where to start for those. I could try to further my own bias and try to specifically look for like Tuner and Praxis stuff and see if they show up there. I guess that's where I could start. My stream's going on for now 5.5 hours though, guys. So I think for the moment, I'm gonna pack up and actually get some food in my belly and stuff. I'm gonna make a highlight video out of this and get that up on the channel so that it's more like concrete, consistent, and so forth. But I hope anyone watching had a fun time talking about the lore of this one particular symbol that's prevalent in EverQuest that never really had anything shouted out about it in EverQuest lore. Looking at maybe how EverQuest 2 has changed that lore and trying to figure out what in the game could help represent that. So thank you everybody for joining me. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July weekend. I hope if you're not in the States, that's cool. I just hope you have a good weekend in general. I hope everybody takes it easy. Enjoy that bonus XP while it still lasts for the next day or two. And hope you guys take care. Thanks for joining me. I'm Telkiney, the Nerd Navigator. Please like and subscribe. All that jazz. So yeah, subscribe to the channel, whatnot. I hope you guys have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye.